Queen Productions Limited has not came out with the best products recently, so when it was finally announced that The Miracle would get a special re-release with previously unheard outtakes, us fans finally had something to look forward to. These special releases include a slightly overpriced box set, a picture disc, a 2-disc deluxe edition, and a bunch of clothes, and Rubik's Cube. Before I take a deep dive into the Sessions disc, I want to take a look at the other discs included in the main box set and the digital version. The original album is the same remaster from the 2011 re-release, which is unfortunate for most fans, as the remaster wasn't done the best. The alternative Miracle includes all the B-sides and 12-inch versions and bonus tracks that were released back in the year 1989 alongside the album. The Miracle Mentals gave us all the instrumental versions of the original album tracks, which to some can be seen as a waste of a disc, but I find it nice hearing most of these tracks in an instrumental setting without those grating vocals that singer, like, what is he called? Freddy Fazbear or whatever. But obviously the most intriguing part of these discs is the Miracle Sessions with a full 16 tracks to feast our eyes on, starting with the original take of... Surprisingly enough, I prefer this over the released album version. The drums sound much more like Roger in this version than the more 80s sounding processed drums of the released version. And Freddie's vocals are less layered and they just sound way better than the more robotic flow of the album version. I love the guitar solo of this version as well, and doesn't feel overbearing or annoying like I felt it kind of did on the album version. I've heard a lot of people say that they feel this version feels a lot like a live rendition of the track, and I really get where they're coming from. Everything just feels way more rough. This is probably one of my favourite tracks on the disc, and I think I'd listen to this version over the released. Us Queen fans have actually heard an earlier version of this song before in the form of a leaked fan club convention recording. And there are some vocal takes and instrumental sections that appear both in the leak and in this track. The leak is different, however, for its layering with vocals at the end of the first verse. And there is a very funny ad-libbing section from Freddie at the end, which I'm really upset they didn't include.
I want to party. To the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left.
This one is not as strikingly different from the final version as the previous track, but there are some very interesting lyric differences between this and the final version.
Everybody left me. I don't want, and I don't care. And they thought that said I'd fair. We was bad, we was blitzed. Molly was really good.
The most interesting lyric difference is with the line, "No one stops my party," to the line, "No one loves my party" in this version, which is just not true. Freddie is historically known to throw the best parties. Like the previous track, this doesn't feel strikingly different to the final version at first, with just some alternate synths. And some rougher lyrics and ad-libs here and there. But this version really shines during a very different ending that feels very synth heavy and funky. I don't like it as much as the final version's ending, but it is really fun and has some really good deaky bass playing. I haven't mentioned this yet, but I really like the little bits of like studio banter at the start of each one of these tracks as well. It really gives this disc like a fly on the wall aspect that we haven't had since like the News of the World box set in 2017.
John, are you happy? Yes,
This track has probably the best and most intriguing intro on the disc. It seems just like a short jam that is stitched onto the original Take If I Want It All, with a completely different tempo and feel. A lot of fans have speculated what this short 1 minute recording could be of, many comparing it to the jam at the end of Hang On In There.
And let's go!
In terms of the rest of the track, there was a funny moment I liked in the intro where Freddie came in too early.
On an empty street, just oh my god.
There is a much more prominent synth that runs throughout the track as well. And I also like how the fast part is now moved to the end of the song rather than like the middle. Overall, one of the highlights from the disc for me. We actually got this version of the song on the deluxe edition released back in 2011, which I don't mind as I like Roger's take on the track, and the little pre-chorus part that Freddie does in this version is really great as well. There is only a slight noticeable difference between these two versions, which is a guitar solo that comes in near the end of the new version from Brian. A really great addition that makes this demo seem less empty. Comparing it to the album version, there isn't a ton of difference, obviously apart from Roger singing the verses instead of Freddie. Freddie's vocals do fit this type of song better in my opinion, but it is nice hearing Roger's more raspier vocals on the track. Here we have our first original demo of the disc. This demo is actually leaked, but only a snippet and not the full thing. Obviously most keen-eared fans will pick out that this is the intro to Breakthru, before it's the intro to Breakthru, and instead a standalone track. The extended vocals from Freddie are really nice, and there is obviously some great piano playing going on here. But this is very evidently incomplete apart from the section they decided to use in Breakthru. Still, a very interesting look into the creation process.
I wake up, I feel fine.
I really like this version of this song. Obviously, it says what it is on the tin. It includes the real drum and bass instead of the more processed drums and bass on the album version.
Deep inside of me, honey, I'm touching something.
And I think it works really well. I like some of the alternative lyrics sung by Freddie in this version as well.
Growing up, it's hard for you.
There is some really fun spoken segments in this track that really add some charm as well.
You know something? If this song was stopped right now, this would really be a breakthrough.
It just sounds more like a raw, almost live version of the track similar to Party. A lot of fans actually prefer this instrumental but like the final studio vocals, so I've decided to mix the two together and release it on my second channel, Oh No. I'll put a link to it in the description. This is probably one of my guilty pleasure Queen tracks. It feels very cheesy and 80s, but it just feels so uplifting that I can't help but love it. This version in particular is much shorter than the final version and it feels evidently incomplete.
I can see it. Oh.
But I like having the guitar solo at the beginning of the track. It just adds a bit of variation to the regular formula. And there is some really great Freddie harmonies that are missing from the album version as well. I thought I'd mention, like Khashoggi's Ship, there is a leaked fan club convention demo of this song. However, it is drastically different to this or the final release, with a lot of vocoder on Freddie's vocals. Overall, a very interesting version of one of Queen's lesser liked songs. So this is the end of part 1. I put a lot of work into this video, compiling all the music, listening to all the music, analysing all the music, so please give it a like if you enjoyed it. I'll try and get part 2 out around Christmas, so stay tuned.